Alright guys, we're going to have another video focusing on the LT4, and I hope to wrap up the long block in this video. I don't know if we'll get it all done today, but pretty much going to wrap up everything else that we had left remaining for the motor. And the first thing that we're going to do is actually move it from our Harbor Freight engine stand. You guys can see the red one there. And we're basically going to put it in what's in this box from Speedway Motors. And what that is basically a engine stand that bolts to either an LS or an LT motor, and it bolts to the motor mount location on the side of the block. So that will allow you to put basically a set of legs underneath the motor, and then it actually comes with wheels. So if you open this up, it comes with a set of dollies, wheels, and casters and all that stuff. And that will actually allow you to actually move it around on your floor. And so if you guys got a long-term storage motor, kind of like what we got here, that basically allow you to move it around and not take up your engine stand, because eventually we'll be getting the 427 back from the shop, and I'm going to need to put it on the engine stand for a couple things. Then we can throw it in the Corvette. So we're going to be playing musical motors here in a little bit. And I want to make sure we have something to put that on. So this is actually a Christmas gift that I got back 3 months ago. We're now in March. Yeah, today's like actually it's almost April. Today's like March 30th. So, all right, so you guys can basically see how this is going to work. You're going to have your motor mount will bolt to the side of the engine. And you guys can see there are two different sizes here. I believe the LT is the bigger set, so you'll use the top mounts, and then I think it's going to be the outer. I think the inner is going to be the LS motor mount. All right, guys, you can see the new engine stand has been bolted to both sides. You guys get the picture. It's pretty simple. These bolts are all a 17mm threaded head on there, so just get yourself a 17mm wrench, tighten those down, and you're good to go. And on another note, the LT4 truck pan, yeah, it's quite far down there, so this thing barely clears with a truck pan. I think it still should, but if you had the wheels on it, it would clear with no problem. But with it just sitting on the floor, it's gonna be very close. Alright guys, that was a little bit of a cluster F, but we did get the engine off the engine stand as well as the hoist. I did not have the hoist fully extended. I thought I did. I was able to lower it 1 notch instead of like 4. So I was able to get that loosened up. I got it stuck on one of the legs, and then I just slid it out from the leg using the new skid that we basically built. So yeah, the engine is finally back on the ground. We're able to do the harmonic balancer from ATI, as well as our new Flexplate that we showed in the last video. And actually, that's over there. So, all right guys, now we're down to the basic skills. I looked at the flywheel, didn't see the stamping on it, but it does say engine side. So yeah, we'll go ahead and install the Flexplate, and I'm gonna line the extra tab with the hole in the crank. I don't know if that's there for a reason, but yeah, so that's all lined up. And then we picked up a set of ARP bolts from Michigan Motorsports. But yeah, if you try to buy the regular flywheel bolts for a 6L80 or 6L90 and a CTSV, Camaro, I'm trying to think what else, automatic, or the 8 or 10 speeds, ARP only sells it in quantities of 6. Well, for the newer transmissions, you need quantities of 8. So you either having to buy 2 kits from ARP, or you pay a little bit more and you get the proper amount from Michigan Motorsports, and they've got basically all 8 bolts in here. And there's some ARP Ultra Torque in here, and hopefully the instructions say how many foot-pounds. All right, so they did come with instructions. It's just the normal ARP instructions. You guys do have to read this carefully. It says lubricate the threads with Loctite 242. I believe that's going to be red Loctite. And then under the head of the bolt, use the ARP assembly lube. Do not put the ARP assembly lube on the threads, only underneath the head. So I want you to be aware of that. Oh, and then the torque spec is 85 foot-pounds. And make sure you do that in a star pattern. So start at one end and just work your way around the wheel like you would putting a set of lug nuts on. All right, guys, you can see we have our LS flywheel locking tool. It also fits the flex plate and it also fits the LT motors. This basically just bolts into where the starter goes. So it's two 13mm bolts. It has some serrated teeth on here. Locks into the flex plate and you're good to go. Now, before you tighten it all the way down, make sure you at least have a bolt or two in here. That way this thing tightens straight and is not, you know, pinched at an angle. So, all right, guys, this is probably the messiest job I have ever done. And I have cleaned this flywheel twice now and it still looks terrible. But thankfully, we don't have to run a clutch on here. So basically what I did was I put the ARP assembly lube on the head and then on the threads. It actually calls for Loctite 242. I was not aware that the 242 is actually a blue thread locker. It's not the red. So correction there, blue thread locker and the ARP assembly lube. Tighten that down to 85 foot-pounds and you should be good to go. All right, we have switched to the front of the motor. And here is our ATI balancer. I'm not sure if I have shown this on screen or not. We may have done that a really long time ago. I'm not exactly sure. But basically this is a Escalade V ATI Harmonic balancer. And we ordered the 14% overdrive with the 10 rib. Yeah, I think it's 10 rib. And when I ordered this like a year or two ago, I did actually have to email them specifically because I tried to order it on their website. Their information wasn't crystal clear. So I heard back from their customer service and they helped clarify what I wanted. I wanted the ATI Super Balancer for a Escalade V. I wanted the 14% overdrive 10 rib front drive for that. That's gonna bolt to this. And then the keyway, I think it's just a standard hub. So this install should not be that difficult. Basically, we're gonna use an install tool. We're gonna put that behind the hub and we get a couple more washers. Put this in there, install that. We're gonna put some anti-seize on the inside of the hub. Put that on there, try to squeeze it on. So we will remove our install tool. We'll put this factory bolt that they sent with the kit. It's part number 12557840. We'll install that. We will tighten that down to 240 foot-pounds. That will seat the hub. Everything will be tightened. And then we're gonna pull this back out and we're gonna install our ARP bolt. I think the only thing they call for that is high temperature RTV on both sides of the washer prior to install. Use red Loctite on the threads, tighten down to 230 foot-pounds. All right, guys, I think we got the hub mostly installed. My only word of advice, lots of anti-seize. I know that might be kind of simple, but the reason I say that is because it just helps prevent, you know, things from locking up, make sure everything gets on there. Now I will say this, with that keyway, if you guys are not running a stock key, you do need to fill that with RTV. It does say that in the instructions. My forged LS2 that we had in the Corvette, we filled that keyway with RTV and we're good to go. So, but as I was saying, I did kind of have to line it up a little bit manually when we first started tightening down. All I did was use a 24mm socket. I used our install tool and I just slowly started cranking on it. And I saw the pulley kind of wanting to go on sideways. So I just kind of lifted it up a little bit, got it straight, and it lined up perfectly and it slid all the way back. So we should be good on this hub. If you guys will see this damaged bearing right here, well, that's because I was missing one of these little beads. And when I got to the very end and it started to tighten down, that bearing actually broke. So that's my fault. That is a very old bearing, and I think I bought that on eBay or Amazon, something like that. It's basically designed to take some of the load off of the shaft and the bearing by having this extra bearing in here. It's just in there to help it go easier. Now, if you're like me and you're missing one of those little ball bearings, when you're tightening and you're almost done, you hear stuff to go. I was like, oh no, did I pull threads out of the crank? No, it was just this bearing getting crushed, which is fine because I've used this thing probably 6 or 7 times and I don't really care that it broke. All I need to look up is 51203. Now, I will say this, every time I've torqued these down to 240 foot-pounds in the past, It's been in the car, it's been connected. With this sitting on a plastic floor, I don't know how this is gonna go. So hopefully it goes fine, but we do have the crank locked and we should be just pushing it to the right down. So, all right guys, we got the big torque wrench. The factory bolt is a 24mm, and we are just gonna tighten this thing down to 240 foot-pounds. I'll say this being outside of the car, us having plenty of room to work on it, yeah, that actually wasn't that bad. I am going to double, yeah, 240. I was right, the instructions from ARP does not match the instructions from ATI. I don't know who's right. The ARP instructions basically say put the assembly lube on the threads of the bolt, put it on the front of the washer, the back of the washer, so basically the head of the bolt, underneath the head of the bolt. That will tighten down, and you'll tighten it down to 235 foot-pounds. All right, I was about to do that, and then I remembered I need to actually pin this crank. You guys will remember there is a keyway in the bottom here. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see that. But when you're running boost on any application and you have the pin kit, you should go ahead and run it. So I actually have an old pin kit. I've used it on the SS, I used it on the Corvette. Actually, I've used it on the Corvette like 2 or 3 times. So it is actually a quite old kit. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and buy a new one. Off screen, when that gets in, I'll go ahead, pin it, and then we're gonna follow a mixture of the 2 instructions. I think what we're gonna do for that bolt is we're gonna use red Loctite on the bolt thread, and then the head will use the ARP assembly lube. I think this is what we did on the Corvette, and I never had an issue with it backing out. So if you guys have any other recommendations for that, put them in the comments down below, because it's gonna take a while for me to get that pin kit. The real MVP of today's video is going to be the mini ratcheting set from Icon Tools. This is from Harbor Freight. This allowed me to get inside the harmonic balancer like that and just tighten everything like that. So shout out to Harbor Freight with their Icon ratcheting wrenches with the flexible head. I really appreciate it, because that really made this job easier. But yeah, as you guys can see, we have the blower pulley, we have the accessory drive pulley on here, and this is going to be basically the final drive assembly for the bottom of our 6.6 liter LT4. Now, 2 things. Basically, this outer pulley is on here just for mock-up. I'm gonna have to take this back off and make sure we Loctite everything. Also, the ARP bolt in there, that's in there just for mock-up, because we need to drill out at least 1, maybe 2. I don't know if I'm gonna put 2 pins in this or 1, because it does have the factory pin. So I don't know. I was okay with the 2650 on the forged 6 liter over there with just 2 pins. This having a factory pin, we may just do 1. I'm not exactly sure. But yes, that tool is going to take a while to get here, and I want to get this video out to you guys. So yeah, that is pretty much going to be it for our updates on the LT4. If we have any more updates for this thing, we'll keep you guys updated. Not sure exactly what we'll do next. Need to put the injectors in. Need to order fuel rails, the high pressure fuel pump, and all the hoses and stuff up top, those hard lines and all that. I don't have any of that, so I need to order all that. I need to order an Escalade V intake fuel pump for the truck. We need to order that. And also we need to order rocker arms. So yeah, we have a lot more parts to order, and we will have to wait for that. So if you guys want to follow along with the rest of this LT4 adventure, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, I will try to include links to everything that we used today, the engine stand, the one from Speedway, the one from Harbor Freight. I'll try to get you links for that. The air over hydraulic kit that provided clutch today. As far as the rest of the parts that we used today, I'll try to get you links for those as well. The flex plate, the bolts for the flex plate from the ARP, the ATI balancer, the ARP bolt that's inside there. I'll try to include links for all that. I think we should be able to find some of that on Amazon. And if there's anything else, our big tub of ARP assembly lube, and then a tub of anti-seize. Those were probably the 2 best things that we used to get everything slid onto that crank without any issue. Also, don't forget to check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. We got plenty of hats, t-shirts, stickers, sweatshirts. I'm trying to think what else. There's some keychains, other stuff. That's all on the website. Also, we got plenty of UC6 parts. We got some inventory above our toolbox over there, and that's gonna be it. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.